Reading the future.
Reading the future, huh?
Let me tell you what I see. The sun is going to set from the west direction this evening and is going to rise from the east direction tomorrow morning. You can check it out.
But Levin, isn't that what happens every single day?
Of course it does. We have great knowledge of astronomy. By now we know which direction is sun is setting every day, which direction is sun is rising every morning. And that is the foundation of astronomy, predicting celestial events, and that's how we predict the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, meteor showers, and all kinds of astronomical events. And that is astronomy. But today we are going to talk about completely different thing over here. We are going to talk about astrology. And if you remember last week we talked about the North Star. If you remember, the North Star is here at the tail of the Little Dipper constellation. And I showed you how to find it, how to find directions using North Star. Even you can find one of the GPS coordinates using the North Star directly, and that can be used for celestial navigation. And I also talked about a different feature of the North Star, and that is going to become important later in this video. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UTA Planetarium Sky Update. My name is Levent Kurdemir, UTA Planetarium Director, and Jim Bader, Program Coordinator, is also with me today.
Always.
Let's talk about astrology, because people ask us all the time, what's the difference? Are you an astrologer or astronomer? Well, I'm an astronomer. Let me point that first. But astrology.
Well, Levent, you were just reading Coffee Veins. So
Yes.
I mean, don't you also count as an astrologer now too?
Well, kind of.
Well, that's
if well, of course.
I'm sorry.
Coffee ground has nothing to do with the prediction of the celestial events, because we have like 5,000 years of knowledge accumulated over time about what's going on in the sky, and we can just now predict very well. But astronomy was not the only thing. If you go in back in the past, almost 5,000 years ago, we are also seeing some textbooks coming up, getting notes of astrology. And back in time, the astrologers were also using sky maps, and they were trying to make predictions of the celestial events. But the difference is they were trying to use these the celestial predictions as like a part of divine communication. So and the astrology became very popular, and it spread over China. Even it was in the Mayan culture, and then we started seeing in the history in the Greek textbooks, and it was in Rome, and at some point that became part of Western culture. And when it became Western culture part, then they started using what the astrologers call horoscope. It's actually sky chart. It is nothing but the map of the sky, and the planets are pointed out. But they started using these for predictions. And in the Western astrology, we started getting to know that the horoscope was actually used to make predictions for future of an individual, for the personality and character analysis, depending on the time they were born and the sign or the constellation attached at the time of the birth. So the astrology became really different, and actually we started seeing this difference in the 17th century, because like if we go back into history, Tycho Brahe, Kepler, even Copernicus was considered as the great astrologers. But again, the astrology back in time, in the foundation, there was the calculating the celestial event and making future predictions, and we started seeing a big diverge from the science in astrology at the 17th century, because rather than the Earth-centric understanding of the universe, we switched to a heliocentric model, and we put the sun at the center of the solar system, and a lot of things changed. And especially after the Newtonian physics, after Newton, this became more apparent, and then the astrology just became pseudoscience, nothing else. But the astronomy is the science of understanding the celestial events, and astronomy turned into a belief system. And let me tell you a little bit how a belief system works. And I think we have some questions before we dive into that.
Yeah. First
All right.
question,
Was this
very
a
important.
Turkish coffee? Yes, that was a Turkish coffee cup. And of course, I didn't have any coffee in it. I was just making up, like, reading the grounds. And then the astrology evolved before astronomy, or they were different from the beginning. So we do not know the beginning, but we can just say we can find as early textbooks as we can find, and the astrology textbooks are going to like years 1400 BC. It's a long time ago. But yes, we have way older astronomy textbooks then, and probably the astronomy started to begin with, or they may have started at the same time. But again, the distinction was there was a very simple distinction by then, and the distinction was the astrologers were interested in knowing the celestial events to understand the signs from God, or is a part of the divine communication. But the astronomers were more interested to understand the events, to predict, first understand what's going on, and then predict future events, because some of the events, especially important for people, especially if we think about people were doing farming. A lot of people were doing farming back in the history. The flood times of the Nile River was very important. The seasons were very important. Understanding of the sunlight, the daylight time was important. The summers got longer daylight and the winters got shorter daylight. That was important, and things like that. And to be able to make predictions of these, and especially I think the solar eclipses were very puzzling and very scary. So understanding of solar eclipses actually came later.
All right, Levent, I have just a quick question comment. So this is very, very relevant, but I want to, for just a moment, read to you your horoscope. Is that okay? Can I do that?
Oh, of course.
All right. You're what's your sign?
Well, according to the horoscope, it's Virgo.
Okay, Virgo. Cool. Well, it says for Virgo that it will be a very busy day for you. You might have a lot of errands to run. Planetary energies, we are planetarians, so that's always relevant, could heighten the pace. So you could feel like you are in a bit of a rush. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do too many things. You'll feel better if you just accomplish a few items on your checklist and leave some time for recreation and relaxation. Don't pressure yourself by running around like and this is my favorite part, lunatic, because that's relevant. Is your moon crazy? No. So this is generic, but I will say today is a busier day than average. Maybe I'm wrong. Is that true? We got a live stream today on top of everything else.
Well, Wednesdays are also very busy days for us.
So that you could say it might make you feel like you're in a bit of a rush. I don't know, maybe not. We'll say, why do these sometimes when you read them, even though we could know that you're probably not, and then also I have to tell you some really bad news, Levent. I just read you the Scorpio horoscope, so it doesn't even matter. But sometimes they just feel like they're true. Could you comment on that? If you read it and it feels like you're true, do you mind commenting on why sometimes they might feel like they're true?
Well, first of all, what you read just before is happening for all Virgos, right? I
Well,
mean,
Scorpios,
there's
because I just
like how
ignored what
many
you said.
Virgo people in the world, and they are having the same day. So that's one part that doesn't make sense. But also, I think the astrologers are professional writers. They write something that is so generic that everybody can say that, oh yeah, that's you're talking about me. So, and if you look at the words, they are so like the positive words, because otherwise I can not easily accept. You say you are going to have a rush day today, right? And a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
the times, how many of us can say, well, I was so lazy today? No, I mean, the busyness level can be different. Someone can be too busy or someone can be less busy, but everybody is busy.
Yeah,
As soon as
definitely.
we are breathing, we are busy, right? And nobody says, well, I'm lazy or I'm going to have a lazy day today. So the words are carefully chosen that you can always say, oh, yeah, it's me. You are so hardworking person. Find me
Lamia's
someone
comment.
that who can tell the opposite way to you. Say, I'm a very lazy person. Uh, you know,
Oh, she pulled it back.
all right. So uh, anyway, that's one problem with
All right, all
the
right.
astrology.
It
But
feels like a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you tell yourself that if you do these things right, you're gonna have a good day.
mhm.
Sometimes you have a better day because you're
but
focused on that.
that's not enough
I agree.
to
I agree.
to say the astrology is not science.
It's a bit
And
anecdotal.
let me talk about the science part a little bit. Why it is not considered science? So it is not considered science because, first of all, the foundation of horoscope is wrong, and I'm going to prove you that. And that is coming from the North Star talk we had last week. What we did say last week was the Earth is going through the wobble, and that wobble takes approximately 26,000 years. That affects the North Star because when we go back into the history, 5,000 years ago, there was a different star, North Star, and that star was called Thuban. It's in the Draco constellation, and because of the wobble of Earth's axis, and that wobble is not happening very fast. That wobble is a very slow wobble, and it happens once every 26,000 years. So currently, the Earth's north axis is pointed, and that wobble brought it to the location near the Polaris. And we just presented this circle last week, and the North Star is here. This line represents the Earth's axis wobble. So if the let's say sometimes when you just shoot a laser pointer in the sky, you can just if you wobble your laser pointer, you can draw a circle. If our rotation axis was pointing or shooting a laser into sky, that would be doing a wobble like this in 26,000 years. So currently, where the north celestial point is, we have a very close star to that, and after 5,000 years, the north axis will be pointing this direction. Now there is no star over here or no bright star, so we will not have any like North Star in the sky, but after 10,000 years there will be a star nearly here. Vega is going to be considered North Star after 10,000 years. If you have enough patience to wait 10,000 years, you can see Vega as the North Star. So okay, let's go back over here. When we started seeing these astrology textbooks and predictions, trying to understand what's going on in the universe, the North Celestial Pole or North Axis was here. So when it was here, they determined that there are constellations in the sky, or the sun is going through 12 constellations in the sky. So those 12 constellations became the zodiac constellations. And because there are 12 constellations, the number 12 migrated into a calendar system. So starting from January, ending with the December, how many months do we have in a year? How many, Jim? 12. So each constellation represents a month in the sky. So the foundation or the reason behind, like, what's your birthday, what's your sign, is actually coming from here. At your birthday, the sun is located in a constellation. So that constellation is a zodiac constellation and it becomes your sign. And that's how they attach constellations to birthdays. And each horoscope have a date range, start date, end date for each constellation, each sign, right? Check that out. In 5,000 years, the north axis moved from Thuban to Polaris. And that resulted the entire zodiac system and the timing of the sun shifting. And that shift is nearly 1 month in 5,000 years. Guess what? Now, when you look at the sky, you do not see the sun in the same location as people did 5,000 years ago. And that shift, the amount of shift, I said nearly 1 month or one constellation, that means when you look at the zodiac and point or to locate the sun, it is not going to be in the constellation you think it is.
All right, perfect segue, Levent. Lamia asks about what about Gemini? Wait a minute. Should I read Gemini or Taurus? So, Lamia, if you want to, we don't need to know a year, right? We just need to know the date of the month of your birthday. If you'd like to give that, you can. If not, we'll use mine or Levent's to show it. But yeah, all we need is a day of the year, and we can take our computer system and show that date and where the sun is, right?
Exactly.
And we can say the difference.
You can also test it out with, nowadays, the phones have great apps. You can download one and that points the sun's location into zodiac constellations. And by the way, zodiac constellations is not the astrology thing. It is used by astronomers, but the purpose is, as I mentioned, it's a calendar system. It is still used to communicate the sun's and all the solar system, planets and moons locations in the solar system. You may hear from an astronomer that the moon is going to be in the Taurus constellation today. The Jupiter will be in, let's say, Aries constellation tonight. And this is why we use the zodiac system.
All right. We just got it. I was about to give up, but Lamia dropped the date. So May 29.
May 29. All right.
Just on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and change the date, so I'm sliding away.
So, Jim, you can remind me what horoscope says about May 29? Which sign, which constellation?
I have no idea. Let me look. It's after Taurus. Oh, it's Gemini. Lamia just said so. Gemini. You want to read it?
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can read it there, but.
Okay. No, I'm not interested in what horoscope says. I was wondering what's the constellation, and let's see if in May 29 it's in the same constellation. So give computer a few seconds to find out where the sun is on May 29. Today, but doesn't matter even if you go back to 100 years, it is nothing comparing to 26,000 years cycle or 5,000 year movement. So that is going to be apparently is in Taurus.
Yeah, it's definitely in Taurus.
Is well in Taurus today, not like in Gemini that your horoscope mentions. So why astrologers didn't note the change, but astronomers did? Because the reason is the astrologers do not care about this shift, but astronomers do, because this shift affects the entire coordinate system. This shift affects the calculations we make to predict the sunrise, sunset we use every day, the solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, meteor shower timings, etc. So this shift affects a lot of calculations. For that reason, we want to know as astronomers the amount of that shift and also the correct corrections we can make in our calculations. But astrologers, of course, did not care because whatever they're going to write specific to like 1 in 12 person is not going to affect anything with the shift.
Okay, just for clarification, for anybody watching, you can see that we didn't just make the date up here necessarily using this application, as the months are listed right next to the event, and you can also see there's little hash marks. There's smaller hash marks on these months, and there's bigger ones. The bigger ones are the tens, so you can see that the sun is right almost on top of the 29th of May, right before the last big hash mark. So,
and anyone can test it with freely available astronomy software is all over the place. So you can find one for your phones, one can find for your desktops, laptops, tablet devices. So applications are available. But also, to me, as a personal opinion, it didn't make sense anyway, because then I have to consider that there are only 12 type of people in the entire world. There is only 12 different future that can apply to the entire human being. So what's up with that?
Well,
how come it can
to be
possible?
fair, Levent, original astrology, although I don't give it any more credit than what you're saying, okay, but today in America, at least in the West and in most of the world that follows the West, they only pay attention to the sun signs. But the ancient people, it was really important to know where all the planets were on the day you were born, where the moon was on the day you were born, the rise of the sun, the set of the sun. There's all these other aspects that today we forget about, but in my opinion, it doesn't make it hold any more water, right? It doesn't make any difference. But I see what you're saying. Why do we need to put humans in buckets and organize their personality types due to one particular aspect?
Exactly. And sometimes I listen astrologers to see if I can learn something, and I realize that they are using very scientific terms like retrograde motion of Mars, elongation, opposition, and things like that. And those are astronomic words, scientific words, but how they are using is usually very wrong. Plus, if you listen a second astrologist from different channel or from different news source from different country, you will not find an agreement with those. But if you listen to astronomers across the world, let's say one from China, one from the United States, about a lunar eclipse, about a solar eclipse, about a meteor shower, they will always say same thing. And that's how science works, ladies and gentlemen. Science is the astronomy is a science, but astrology is, there is nothing wrong with you believing in it. That's perfectly fine. And also reading your horoscope daily and live with it. But astrology is a belief system.
Yeah, just a quick search, Levent. I mean, I had Gemini horoscope up. I just grabbed the two top hits from Bing, and they're totally different. I mean, I don't know if I want to read them all because for reasons, but they're totally different. It's wild.
Well, if you would like us to bring up more topics over here on YouTube at the Sky Update, please let us know. And if you like our channel, please subscribe and like our video to share with some others.
Before we go, I just want to say that if you are into horoscopes, it doesn't hurt anybody, right, Levent? It doesn't do any damage. I mean, so if it makes you happy, it gives you joy, keep reading them. Whatever.
Absolutely. There is nothing wrong with believing astrology, and even I'm not going to object if you say it is affecting my life. As soon as it is affecting positively, go for it. But we bring this up time to time, even at the planetarium shows, because a lot of people asks us the question, what is astrology? What is astronomy? What is the difference is the main thing. And also, why it is not considered science. Is it not true? So scientifically, it's not. But yeah, that is the difference between astrology and astronomy. Science and a belief system we are comparing over here.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't. Is there anything else, Levin?
Let me ask a good comment. Astronomy is a science, but astrology is a business, is, I think, in my opinion, also true.
Definitely. You could write a book about
Mhm.
astrology and sell it. I mean, you can't get fact checked. So,
Years ago, I was traveling and on a different country. I'm walking on the street and I see a business that has a big sign, said something like, I don't remember the exact term, but the star fortune or something like that. Apparently, I mean, there was a big word, scientific writing too. By looking at star maps and predicting the celestial events and everything, they can read, people's future fortune. And like by reading the star maps, I just wanted to sit in front of that person and see what they are going to tell me by reading star maps. I can read star maps, believe me.
do you ever get approached when you go visit friends or family and they say, Levin, you're an astronomer, right? Can you talk to me about how Mercury's retrograde motion is affecting
Yes.
my work life?
Yeah. Even I see a lot of people claiming that the full moon is affecting their life
They're
big
lunatics.
time. They destroy their sleep cycles. They cannot sleep during full moon. And I say, maybe you need to use a little thicker curtain so your room will be darker, because that's the only the full moon's effect. So yes, it does have gravitational effect. It is the moon is causing tides, which is huge amount of water is being affected by the pull force of the moon. But gravity is proportional or related with the mass. So the mass of the fluid in our body is nothing comparable to huge seas and oceans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
little mass attract little force. That is not going to be any significant event or any more than a mosquito, lands on our head. That's going to be very probably similar effect.
It's like trying to watch tides in a bird bath.
Yeah,
You're
and
not
I
gonna see
also
that.
heard people telling me the retrograde motion of certain planets and even the Jupiter, Saturn, and the gas giant planets lines up, and the amount of gravitational force combined applied on Earth affects things like that. No. The most mass, more than 99% of the mass of the solar system is contained in the sun. So a little bit changing over here, a little bit changing over here is not going to make or cause any change, any
It's like
significant
throwing a
change.
ping pong ball in a car and
Again,
expecting it to flip.
we are talking about the celestial bodies like Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, and the mass of ourselves is so tiny comparing to them. So little change on our mass. Again, the mass is, the gravity force is related with mass. Smaller the mass, the smaller the gravity force applied.
Yep.
So
All right. Well, anything else for today, Levin?
not for today. Again, bring it up. Tell us what you would like to talk about. If there is something specific you would like to cover in the future Sky updates. But for now, have a great weekend. See you next week on YouTube, and also see you next week, Wednesday, on Facebook.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Bye bye.